once you do something with passion, with your full heart, everything will fall into place. That's all I always say. And what I find is that in terms of career growth, I mean, everyone wants different things, right? So some people just want to have a successful clinic and see 10, 20 patients a day and be happy.
Hello guys, and welcome back to the Face It podcast. Today we have a very special episode in a long line of very special episodes. We are travelling up and down the UK to visit some of the industry's leading practitioners and experts in their fields, whether that is in aesthetics or in beauty. These people have influenced their industry in some way, have achieved huge success, and are full of amazing stories, inspiration and advice for both you and for me. We'll be visiting them on site at their own clinics, salons or studios and getting their views, their thoughts and opinions on their careers. There will be something in every single discussion to take away and apply to your own business. So stick around and grab yourself a pen. Sometimes all it takes is a small nugget from an entire conversation that can spark the biggest change in your business. So without further ado, it's time to welcome our guest. Dr Vincent Wong, welcome. I am going to do a bit of an intro on you actually, just because you've got such an amazing background, you've got so many skills, so much education. So for the sake of the tape and for everyone listening, we've got now 2 clinics. We're in the brand new clinic today. We've got Harley Street that you've had for a number of years now. I have wrote this down, guys, simply because there's so much in your background. Forbes top 5 doctor, a New York Times 50 under 50, a cosmetic doctor to the stars, and somewhat of a force within the industry, a trailblazer and an inspiration to other people. So Dr. Vincent, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it. So I'm going to jump straight in with my questions. Okay. What drives you? What drives you to do the things that you do in the way that you do them?
Oh gosh, that's a really good question. So skin has always been my passion. So since 4th year medical school, I kind of knew that I wanted to do something skin related. But at that time, being a medical student, you only have the option of dermatology or plastic surgery. And I always like to push myself, probably due to my Asian upbringing. So since I was a kid, I was always, pushed to do well in everything I do and things like that. So I chose the difficult option of plastic surgery. And then I kind of spent my holidays and things like doing extra projects just so that I could get a job in plastic surgery. So after graduation, I ended up having a job in plastic surgery. And I really enjoyed it. However, I then discovered aesthetics medicine. So the story was at that time, I was probably stressed and hormones and everything. I had really bad acne. So then I tried antibiotics, topicals and everything, and nothing was really working for me. And I had a skin peel, didn't know much about it. So then decided to have a skin peel myself, and then discovered this whole area, this whole industry, this whole world, brand new world. So that really opened my eyes. And then I kind of looked into doing it. So I started off doing a little bit evenings and weekends, and then gradually decided to leave the NHS and focus on doing this. So I haven't looked back since, so I've been doing this for a very long time.
It's a massive journey.
It is, yes.
Which you mentioned a little bit about your upbringing and your background. So, young Dr. Vincent, who was he?
Oh gosh, probably very competitive. A bit of a nerd.
Not a bad thing.
Well, it pays off eventually. I would also say probably misunderstood. Yes. Because I think when the transition for me from being an employed junior doctor to being self-employed was quite a challenge. So obviously in medical school they didn't teach you how to run a business or anything like that. So I remember the first 6 months was a complete struggle, and in that 6 months, I regained some friends who wanted treatments, but then also lost my friends because I was just like, I had no social life. I was just working. And then eventually started to pick up momentum and I started to do well in the industry. And I remember people coming to me and they were like, you know, we would talk and then, you know, we become friends. And then years later, I found that their first impression of me was complete opposite to how I am as a person.
Wow.
So they always thought that, oh, you know, because you're done so well and you're so young, like, you know, you must be super arrogant and you're not friendly. And then when they speak to me, they're like, oh,
they
not...
make assumptions.
Exactly. So like, oh, they're not, you're not what we thought you were. I'm like, okay, cool. That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you've come a long way since then. Like I say, your education, you know, I was going to ask you why aesthetics, but you've sort of touched on that with your background. You're suffering with acne.
Exactly.
But obviously, you've done medicine, you've done dermatology, plastic surgery.
Yes.
Would you say that there's a bit of a combination of all of those skills in what you do now?
Oh, 100%, yes. So, for example, like now I still see burns patient, which was majority of my work in plastic surgery when I was doing it. But obviously I see them much later. They're not, you know, just fresh off a burn or anything like that. They're, you know, stable, no life-threatening conditions or anything like that. It's just to improve the appearance of the wound and to improve the scar and things like that. So that for me is actually more rewarding and also a good balance between job satisfaction and stress. Yeah.
Amazing. What would you say your goal is at this stage of your career? Because you've done so many things, so we will touch on them. I know you've got things coming up in the pipeline as well, but you know, what drives you at this point? What's the goal now?
I always think that there's always room for improvement. Okay, so in my clinical practice, I want to be able to create new techniques and stuff like that, which I have started doing. For example, last year I developed our technique for fillers with Real Life, and this year I've developed a technique for threads for the neck. So I think the more I practice, the more ideas come to my mind, and I want to be able to create something that meets the gap within the industry, so to speak. I would also like to say, this is the problem, I have so many things on it. I also want to, you know, grow the training side of things. I've started a training academy called Trivin, and I'm hoping to launch some pretty cool masterclasses this year. Again, in collaboration with Real Life. So we're looking at combination techniques and how we can, you know, address the face in a multi-layer, multi-dimensional way. Because I think currently a lot of your trainings just breaks down the face into specific areas. But then in real life, in day-to-day practice, we use a combination of different modalities. So I'm trying to bring that to the spotlight a little bit more.
Sure, and you've clearly got that innovative side to your personality. So it's not just like you say when you went to medical school, you know, you went and you did the ABC of it all, but now you're in that position, you're bringing all of that knowledge, all of those skills together, and now we're in that innovation space, and you're collaborating with people like Real Life, which again we'll touch on later. But you know, sort of moving on a little bit from that, you do work very, very closely with the LGBTQIA plus community. Tell me about that I Am Me campaign and what that is.
Okay, so that started with, you know, just being active in the community and being involved with like Pride celebration. So I would say I'm quite a creative person. I kind of like creative arts and stuff like that. So I was involved with Pride celebration in London for about 3 years before I launched IME. So I was on stage, dancing and doing different things on Gay Pride. And then just from speaking to people, a lot of people want to have procedures done, but then especially within the community, they don't know who to go to, they don't know what can be done, and also there's always this fear of phobia towards the community. And you may have heard like horror stories of people transitioning quite late in life. Most of them did sort of like outside the UK, but then they were like mistreated. There was no patient care whatsoever, and verbal abuse and stuff like that. So a lot of people have been kind of like stuck in that place, especially transgender individuals. So in the UK, the care is good in the sense that they have endocrinologists, plastic surgeon, mental health professionals, which is great and forms a good base for their journey. However, there's no real guidelines as to when they should start facial feminization or masculinization and what options are available. And also, there's a lack of understanding in terms of what can be achieved without surgery. And obviously the hormone part of things do have a huge influence because it changes the soft tissue distribution, things like that. So the key then is to, obviously there's a gap, right? Just how we can elevate aesthetics medicine to meet that gap, and also to think slightly outside the box beyond just anti-aging, improving confidence and stuff like that. This is helping someone find their identity and be comfortable in their own skin. So
your campaign is there to shine a light on that gap, and to try and bridge that through what you do.
Exactly.
And it's interesting that you take part in the creative side, because I always say that to be a surgeon, to be an esthetician, is a very creative endeavour. I think people get it mixed up, that it's all very clinical, and actually there is a really creative aspect to that. So it's nice in some ways you get to bring that side of your personality into it as well, which is amazing. As you've mentioned, a lot of your work is the feminisation side of things, the masculination side. I'm assuming this is a passion of yours.
It is.
And you've touched on it a bit, but explain why it's a passion. Where does that stem from?
So, being a member of the LGBTQ community, so I feel like, when it comes to marketing and things like that, a lot of people talk about the pink pound. And it's almost like, okay, just because you're from a community and you do well, doesn't mean that you can take advantage of it. So what I want to do is also find a real purpose in what I do. And again, there's so much we can do, from threads, fillers, toxin, even looking at the skin quality when they undergo the transition with hormones and stuff like that. There's literally a lot that we can do, and things that we're already doing on a day-to-day basis. And then the other side of it is, the whole diversity, inclusivity, and things like that, equality. What we always miss out is visibility. A lot of the times people put a gay pride flag and stuff like that over the summer months, and then they take it out and almost like nothing happens,
and that's
right?
The end
that's it. Yeah. So I think visibility is also very important, and especially in whatever industry. So in aesthetics, for example, it's good to see someone who does well is also from the community and also able to give back to the community, and that is one of the key drivers for me.
Amazing. Moving on a little bit, but probably heavily linked into it as well. You have got a book, Healing Scars, I believe, that you've authored. 29th of March.
Yes. Yep. Good Friday.
So why the book and why now?
Okay. So this book basically summarizes the first half of my life, so to speak. So it's got a lot of things that made me who I am today. I've been through some very rough patches, for example, cancer diagnosis a few years back, and how I cope with everything. And I think that writing the book, I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to write it, because I was able to do two things. One, it's to heal myself through the process of writing it, and also to share my story with people, and hopefully they'll find it inspiring, or if I can overcome something, so can they. Give them some hope, so to speak. I remember when I wrote it, it was during lockdown, so it was very, very therapeutic, and it was almost like going through a course of therapy session, right? So lots of tears and everything, but I felt a lot better after that, and I want to share that with people because it's quite meaningful, and also I remember, because obviously I wrote everything myself, but then I needed someone to really polish it up because I'm a professional writer. So I contacted the editor, and then he was like, okay, it's quite a long novel. It's like 97,000 words. And then he was just like, okay, I can do this for you. However, like, are you sure you want this to be done, like, to your standard?
Because it's very personal.
Because it is A, personal, and B, he was just like, there's so many people writing books out there. A lot of people are going through, the struggle of finding a publishing house or whatever. You may just end up with a very expensive manuscript. And I'm like, yeah, didn't feel it that way. And I took a few days to think about it. I'm like, okay, even if I just share that story with one person and make a change to that one person, I think I'll be happy with that.
That's a success.
So yeah,
because
exactly.
That's ultimately why you wrote it, is to find people that, like you say, either it inspires or it uplifts someone, or it lets someone know that they're not alone in that journey.
Exactly.
And sometimes, a lot of times, I think that's what a memoir or a book is. It's passing on that message. And, I'm sure it will be fantastic.
Thank you.
But like you say, even if it's just one person.
Yeah, and that impact, you can't really put a value on.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. And you're doing that through your work, but then to be able to do it through your words as well. And I know there's other things that you do with regards to the training tour. You're getting lots of opportunities to be able to use that message. Which does bring me on to the Training Academy, actually. You mentioned Trivin already.
Yes.
It's a new academy. You've just setting that up at the moment.
Yep. So we started setting it up in August last year. Yep. So all going well. A lot of work, but it's all worth it. Yes.
International training tour. Because of this, you've got quite a handle on the training side of things, and you are bringing a lot of people through the ranks and pulling them up through their careers now. So for the people listening, what advice do you give people? There's a lot of routes now into aesthetics. There's a lot of ways in. There's a lot of ways to grow.
Yes.
What do you advise people when you're on your training tour? How should people go about their training?
So what I normally say is find something that you're passionate about. There's so many treatments you can do, and just know where you can be good at everything. Okay, and not in the beginning, like early stages anyway. So find something you're passionate about, develop that. Don't think about the money, because once you do something with passion, with your full heart, everything will fall into place. That's what I always say. And what I find is that in terms of career growth, everyone wants different things, right? So some people just want to have a successful clinic and see 10, 20 patients a day and be happy. And some people want to have a training academy. Some people want to have everything. So it depends on what they want. But then the key thing I always tell, if they're new in aesthetics, don't expect to be a huge success or make millions of pounds within the first year. There's a lot of learning, and especially this day and age, there's ultrasounds and everything. The technology side, it has moved on so much from even when I started. So the learning never ends. Even at my level, I'm still learning every day.
Still doing masterclasses, still working with other people.
100%, yes.
And respecting that there's always someone that's got a skill that you don't have.
Exactly. And you can never have a huge ego in this field if you want to really do well and make a difference. You can never have a huge ego, you can never be too arrogant. I know people who are like, I already know everything. I don't need to go on a masterclass or whatever. I'm like, I'm sure you've learned something new, however big or small it is.
Even if it just refreshes your memory on the basics, because it's so easy to get wrapped up on all the new technologies, the new methods, the new products. And sometimes you just need to go back to basics.
Exactly.
Because it's the basics that you get lax with. So there's, like you say, it's a training day every day, isn't it? There's always something to learn. So thank you for that tip. I'm sure that people listening will really benefit from that bit of advice there. Diverse career, as we've said, as we've touched on throughout. You've got this collab with Relife.
Yes.
Do you want to explain what that collab is? Explain who Relife are, just for those listening who may not know who Relife are.
Okay, sure. So Relife Aesthetics is a company that stems from Menarini. So Menarini is a huge pharmaceutical company. So they're quite big in anti-infectives, cardiology medicine, and things like that. So Relife is just a new branch to the group, focusing on aesthetics and dermatology. So Relife has been launched in the UK since 2018, I believe. However, obviously pandemic and stuff like that, so there was a stop, and now they're quite active again. So within the real life kind of like portfolio, you have definite fillers, definite threads, definite peel, and a hydro booster as well. And they also have a few sort of medical grade skincare products launching later this year. Yeah, so it's quite the thing I like about them is that everything is science-based, so everything has got very strong scientific backing, and they don't just bring out another filler.
Sure.
It has to have...
It's well researched.
Exactly, research, and even the threads, they were developing for 10 years before they launched it. Yeah.
That says a lot, I think, about a company, you know, how much time they're willing to put in, because at the end of the day, the manufacturers are going to be pushing them to get that product out.
Exactly.
And if they're willing to stick to their guns and say, you know what, the product is, it's not ready, and we need X amount more time, that says a lot about the brand.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a great collaboration.
Yeah.
What is your collaboration?
So, the collaboration is around combination techniques. So, we're launching 6 different masterclasses later this year. So one would be focusing on the eye area, so we call it the periorbital masterclass. So we look at combination of obviously products from real life, so the threads, the fillers, hydro booster, but also with things that are outside real life. So like for example, the neurotoxin, polynucleotides, skin peels, etc. So what I want to do is I want to be able to, do something that is not just because it's collaboration and have to speak highly of a company because of the collaboration. I want something that is actually really going to benefit the delegates and truly believe in.
Yeah.
And I think the best way to do it is just, yes, have a collaboration, but don't make it exclusive to that. And then we combine other things as well. And that also, I think, or hopefully, I'm not speaking on real life's behalf, but hopefully that also helps the brand to grow as well. So
I'm sure it will.
It's a win-win. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, like I say, it's very easy. I think particularly when you get in the realm of social media doctors, the fame, the sort of celebs, it's very easy to start moving into that territory, feeling like you've got to represent all these different brands, it's an income source, there's a lot of pressure there. So it says a lot about your integrity and what you do, that you're willing to, hold out for the right collaboration, and actually it's got to be about the brand, the product, the research.
Absolutely.
That says a lot.
Yeah, and one of the key masterclass I'm very excited about is a new technique that I've developed. So it's called the R technique. Not for fillers, so last year I launched a filler one. This year I've been launching the threads one. And it's basically placement of fillers, but it happened to fall along the lines of the golden ratio. So I'm calling it the golden R.
Why not? Brilliant. They're great. We'd love to hear more about that as well. I mean, at some point, if you're interested in this coming back, I'm sure once you've launched the book and once you've got the courses running, we'll come back and talk in more detail about that. But we're coming to the end of the episode anyway. Is there anything that you want to touch on, highlight, anything that I've not managed to dig out of the closet today? Or do you feel like we've managed to cut for 20 minutes, half an hour, we've done quite well. We've covered most things. So where can people find you then? Where can they find you online? Okay, so online I'm on Instagram at Dr Vincent Wong, and then trivialaesthetics.com. Brilliant. So thank you so much, Dr Vincent. Problem. Really appreciate it. You've been amazing. And best wishes with everything that you've got coming up as well. Thank you so much. All right, thanks.